You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning, where talk is real, truth is in the talk, and there is power, absolute power in the truth, in the talk, and the truth will set you free. Good morning, Melody. How are you doing? And good morning, everyone.
Oh, good morning, good morning, good morning. I had some disturbing news I found out last night.
Uh-oh. What's that?
We might have snow on Saturday.
Oh, gee.
On my weather calendar, there's a big old snow. There's a big old snowflake on there.
Oh, Lordy, Lordy. I tell you what, I think we should fire all the weathermen and women, because I don't like what they're doing, just to, fire them.
I really like we'll get the snow. I mean, but at least it's forecasted a cold front coming through, and it will be here this weekend. So,
well, it's on you on Saturday. It's us on Sunday. We got a snowflake on Sunday on my little phone telling me my weather.
You know what was interesting last night? And I don't mean to talk about the weather. I'm sure there's
I was going to say, we didn't even mention that off air.
But last night it just kept getting chillier and chillier, and I looked at the temperature, and it was like in the high 30s. I was like, well, no wonder I'm cold.
Get another blanket. Put another log on the fire.
Well, I guess. But,
oh, jeez. Yeah, it just seems like winter's not going to give up. But we didn't have a terribly bad winter. It wasn't great, but I mean, it
was mild but long.
Yeah. Well, it seems to be long. I think it's somebody's not paying attention to the calendar. I mean, the first day of spring was in March, right? So it's spring. We need to have some sunshine, at least a couple of days a week. We haven't had any sunshine. Well, we had one day last week. We had a little sun.
Maybe our producer can find that song when we come back. Sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows everywhere.
Well, do they have sunshine in Iowa?
I take it that's where you want to start. You're just going to force me to start on what I thought was interesting.
Iowa. She has a really good article, and I had not seen this, and I think it's very newsworthy. We need to talk about it.
That's the only thing that I bring that's newsworthy, Beth.
Well, that's the only thing we talked about off air.
Anyway, this is a series coming out of Marne, M-A-R-N-E. I don't know if it's Marne or Marne, Iowa. And they're doing they did a series, well, 2 parts, and this is the second part, about communities are solving, rural communities are solving a housing crisis. And it is a housing crisis because there is truly no affordable housing across this nation. We haven't had affordable housing for a very, very long time. And so this town has about 120 people, and each house serves as a crucial piece of the local tax base, and it, keeps the town from actually fading away. And the mayor, the Marne, I'll just call it Marne, the Marne mayor, Randy Baxter, has surgically removed the town's dilapidated homes over the years. That's what happens to a lot of these little towns. The people move away for what, and they just, I guess they
die.
Generation, they die, and then these homes deteriorate very quickly when you don't have someone living in them. And
I always find that fascinating.
It is.
But that's another story.
Yeah.
But I always find that fascinating.
Maybe we can continue after this one. But so he went in there and he removed all of these dilapidated homes. And now the city is going to give away residential lots for free. Free. To anyone who's willing to build a new home. This mayor has gone around. He has refurbished a lot of the older homes. He plans on to begin building spec homes. And what he's trying to do is save the town. There's 20 people in this town. But, of course, he is the largest property owner. But, he's trying to give something back. He estimates he owned about a quarter of the town's property as he bought and sold homes, lots of commercial properties over the years. And So his efforts represent a wider trend across Iowa. Rural community leaders struggling with aging housing stock and little to no new construction are taking a more active role in housing development. Many have realized that developers will never show up to rebuild their inventories of houses and apartments without a push from the local communities. They face so many challenges, and these small towns are just fading away, and they're looking to, try to bring people or to bring, to the community.
Right.
Mayor, a native of Cass County, wanted to open a motorcycle shop in Atlantic, which is, I guess, is a bigger town, but he ran into roadblocks with local planning and zoning officials. And that's what I always say, your regulations, we think the feds are the ones that are really holding up all these regulations and building and preventing these businesses from opening up and making it tough, but it's truly, a lot of it is the local planning and the zoning officials.
In the gated areas, where I had an article yesterday that I shared on CSC Talk Radio, and it's going back, and I know you've seen this before because it's not new, where they've forced people to take their gardens out if they had vegetable gardens in the backyard. And this story was focused around like 3 or 4 different stories about these things and in different states. So these are things, and one of it was an older woman, and she lacked income, and so this is how she was getting the majority of her food, was she put out a really nice, I guess, pretty good-sized garden in the yard, and they were forcing her and took it out, and so, yeah, a lot of times it's the locals that get a little high and mighty and think that that just doesn't look good, so we don't want vegetable gardens or chickens in the yard, or chickens, as Derry Brownfield used to say, chickens, but, so yeah. How big did you say this community was? I didn't hear.
120 people.
Oh,
but what was
small.
interesting when I was talking about those zoning and the regulations and so forth, that's not recent that I'm talking about.
Oh, no.
This goes way back into the 70s, and it's for a long time they've been out to destroy these rural areas, and they do keep people away. So I think it's kind of interesting. Free land. So if you want free land, you have to build a home, and there are restrictions on what you have to build there. They don't want a lot of riffraff coming in, and just destroys. And oftentimes too, in these declining cities, that's what you'll have. You'll have a lot of people move in that really don't give back to your community at all. They're more of a drain than assist in keeping your community alive. So I can see that, trying to keep out the riffraff, to giving away free land and so forth. But we talked about that often on this program, about giving people a place to live where they can go and, have a place to settle and so forth. And there you go, Marnie, Iowa. But 120 people.
That's a pretty small little town. We've got some of those around here, though, so I know exactly about what size it is. But a lot of those little towns, they kind of pop up because, or popped up long ago, when the farming community just needed they needed a little place to go, a town, a little store or something, because big stores were so far away. And
he's trying to bring back businesses to the community, particularly now, I guess, when all we hear about is all these businesses moving back to the United States, that, maybe they can attract. I mean, we saw what happened up in the Dakotas, when the oil boom was going on, and, people didn't have places to stay. They were going up there for jobs and everything, but, there was no place to put them. The hotels were booked, apartments were rented, and, people were sleeping in cars along the road and every place else. And I guess that is unsanitary, and, you can have other issues that arise in that type of a situation. So, kudos to this mayor who is trying to,
What was his name again?
His last name is Baxter. Mayor Randy Baxter.
He'd be interesting to have on the air.
Well, why don't you call him?
Well, you got his number?
He lives in Marnie, Iowa. Shouldn't be
Marnie.
that hard to find with a population of 120.
Well, you never know.
Unless every other resident in that town's last name is Baxter.
It could
Which is a possibility.
It is a pretty large possibility that there could be. Oh, you're something. All right.
I found that interesting. Free land.
It's very interesting. So anybody listening, free land. Build you a little tiny house on there. Have you ever seen those tiny houses? That's a big deal right now. They look like little. They are. They're pretty, but I don't think I'd want one. But I guess if you were living alone and or just I don't know. I always think about when all my kids come home. That would not do. That would not do. But it's a good start. It's a good start, right?
I vision that type of a home I could see communities of those little homes for the elderly.
Oh, yeah.
Where you could have people who could still live on their own. Mm-hmm. That's all they need. That's all you need. Mm-hmm. But where you could have, nurses and, little community that's, and with the baby boomers, the number of baby boomers that we have, I would think that you'd see more and more of those. We need something. We need affordable housing. People can't stay in their homes. They want to, but they can't because of property taxes. When you get to be 85, yeah, you want to stay in your home, but can you afford the property taxes? Probably not. So they push you off into a nursing home, and because your home becomes unaffordable. And it's just wrong. So there should be some way to. In fact, I had also talked about, probably 15 years ago, when those pods, those big moving pods, or the pods that ship stuff overseas, where you can take them and you can turn them into little homes. Mm-hmm. And we were gonna set up buy some acreage and put those on, and you can drywall them inside, put little porches on them, and pretty much like these small little homes and so forth, and have it for retirement communities where no landscaping, just so you can live here the rest of your days worry free. So.
Well, I've got a grandson getting married later in the summer, and his fiance's grandfather, I believe it was, said, "Oh, I'm going to build you a tiny house." So he's building them a tiny house, but where are they going to put it? I mean, they don't have any land, and they're both in college yet. I guess they could go to Iowa. Free land right there. Yeah. Free land right there. I don't know if they've got a college close by. They're both in college yet. And so, it's like I hadn't heard of them, and that's why I said that earlier, because my daughter-in-law was over this weekend, and she was saying, "Let me show you what they look like." And they kind of look like a pop-up camper on the inside. I mean, obviously, they look like a little tiny house on the outside, but on the inside, the way they're put together, and I guess all of them are different, but the bed might be on a loft, and you've got storage or other things down underneath, and you've got the little kitchenette area and bathroom area. Of course, you'd have to have, if you've got a tiny house, you've got to have the sewer hookup and everything else. So something like that in Iowa, they could have a little pop-up of tiny houses on those little lots. Anyway, it's interesting, very interesting that we're giving away the land now to try and build up the community. We're hear music. We're headed into a break. You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning. Do you live in Iowa? They're giving away land there. 717-300-1218 is the number to call. 717-300-1218. Melody and Beth Ann. We're going to be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Gold and silver is tremendously undervalued. Global demand vastly exceeds mine supply by more than 60% annually. There is little in the financial world more certain than a coming explosion in the prices of gold and silver. The U.S. dollar continues to lose value and respect as the world's reserve currency. Our nation faces challenges on many fronts, and a day doesn't pass without another economist bringing forth warnings of impending economic calamity. There has never been a better time than right now to acquire physical gold and silver. Discount Gold and Silver Trading was founded on the principles of truth and honesty. We believe in providing a quality product, quality service, and most importantly, competitive pricing. We provide all forms of precious metals, including American gold, silver, platinum, and rare investment and circulated coins. Silver bars, rounds, and 90% silver bags are on hand for the silver investor. Gold self-directed IRAs are available. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, that's 1-800-375-4188.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the Scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a reestablished Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
Years ahead of the dominant media, FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
They just hate the Trump administration so much that they can't say anything nice, not anything nice. And I had not seen this yesterday, so I couldn't talk about it yesterday morning when we were on the air, but I saw it today, and it says the critics attacked Sarah Huckabee Sanders for reading the resurrection story at an Easter egg roll. There, they do that on the White House lawn. They have the children come in. She wasn't the only one that read to them, but they said she was apathetic. I guess she didn't read it with enough vim and vigor, the resurrection story out of the. And then, of course, there were those who were criticizing because they read what believers believe Easter is all about, which is the resurrection and salvation. And, of course, there were those who came out against, the separation of church and state, and a few even suggested she might be uncomfortable reading about Jesus while serving his opposite in the White House. I mean, nobody can do anything good in the White House, Melania can't wear the right shoes. She can't wear the right clothes. And it just goes on and on and on. Nobody likes anybody that has anything to do with the White House or Donald Trump. I say nobody. I just got on to everybody else for when we were on break. We were talking about generalizing and flying off the handle. There was I used the word gentleman very loosely that Tucker Carlson interviewed last night regarding this caravan that's going to be coming across the border. And he interviewed Morones, I think. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce his name. But he kind of just went off. They never want to answer the question yes or no or whatever. And he went off, and he ended up getting so angry. He said the whole world hates Donald Trump. But he went off and saying that we deserve to be, that we should take all these immigrants in from everywhere because of all the things for the sins of our past as America, because we have gone and invaded and caused trouble in all of these countries. But anyway, it was crazy.
Yes, it was.
But as Melody was reminding me as we were on the break, I was telling her this is kind of what I was going to try and pull these together because the Rasmussen poll came out, and of course I realized that I don't believe in all the polls and everything, but they came out with that Donald Trump has a 50% approval rating right now, which is higher than some other presidents have had at this point in time in their administration. And I said this guy that went flying off on Tucker Carlson, with the whole world hates Donald Trump. The whole world hates him. That he has 50% approval rating according to the Rasmussen poll. But anyway, I said he was kind of like a teenager. He just goes off crazy and you ruined my life. Oh, the whole world hates him. Anyway.
We have Neil calling us from Missouri. Good morning, Neil.
Hey, Neil.
Morning.
Where's that sunshine, Neil?
Hey, it's warm enough, and so I'm not that concerned about the sun, but it's supposed to drop in the 20s tonight. They're talking a hard freeze.
I know.
So I'm just getting wood together to make it through tonight. Hopefully, well, they're talking about we may get some cold weather again this weekend, so
I know.
Winter's not quite over yet.
It's going to hang in there, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm afraid we're going to lose our peaches again this year. We get a hard freeze tonight. All of our peach trees are in bloom, so it'll probably freeze them all. So it's. But I was calling about this issue you were bringing up about the planning and zoning, and then the taxes. All this has to do with real estate. If people would simply go and get their titles recorded at the county courthouse, what happens is when they get the federal land patent recorded, or if you're in Texas, you have to get the Texas land patent. But once you get the title recorded in your name, now when they come after you, the local courts can't do anything because they don't have any jurisdiction. It's a federal issue. And very few local courts are going to come after you, or even state courts, and mess with you if you got that land patent and they're trying to, sell you. If they sell your property for taxes, like you're talking about the elderly, not being able to afford to pay the real estate taxes on their properties because the values continue to go up and then they get taxed out of their homes. Get the patent on it, don't have that problem because the tax deed doesn't supersede the patent. And whoever holds the tax deed got the tax deed, who buys it, at the tax sale, they simply got a worthless piece of paper. Not going to do them any good. And as far as planning and zoning goes, they can't enforce planning and zoning on patented property. So, and most cities don't have the money, to get tied up in a federal suit. And once you have the case law and stuff we have, and if people want, if they want to send me a self-addressed stamped envelope, an SASE to the church, we'll put this information in an envelope and send it to you. It's not that complicated. It's got the case law. It's got, basically all the information you need in order to get and then record your patent. And I think there's still $15 for a certified copy from the Secretary of Interior.
Do you? Okay. All right. We've kind of
given them our address. If you want to give it to them, is just simply the Church General Delivery, Powell, Missouri, which is Powell, Missouri, 65730.
65730. Is that what you said it was?
Right.
Okay.
Right, 65730. And if they'll send us an SASE, we'll put a copy of this information in there and send it to them, and they can go from there. Because the Secretary of Interior, has to have the legal description of the property in order to look up the recorded patent and send you a certified copy of it. So. All
right. Yep. I've sent several of those out. Or the information that you sent me, I've sent several of those out from CSC Talk Radio. So, all right. General Delivery, Powell, Missouri, 65730.
Right.
Got it.
I just address it to the church, and because of where the church is located out here in the boonies, they won't deliver mail to us, so we have to go to town to get our mail. We just pick it up general delivery, so we don't have to pay for a P.O. box.
What's the church name? Do they address it just to the church? Or?
You just put the church, because the branch of the church that has the sanctuary out here, it's Sacerdotal Order of the David Company.
Okay.
So unless somebody wants to put that whole title on there, we just call it the church for short. We're not the whole church. We're just a branch. So.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, appreciate that. Appreciate you making that available to people. Thank you, Neil.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Let's bring some sunshine in. I need some sunshine. All right. We're complaining about the weather all day, won't we?
Mm.
I have another. Do you have something?
No, go ahead.
I just have a real short thing here. I thought, when I read this, I had to write on it. I always write on these articles. Where are the Americans with backbones these days? But this is in Washington, D.C. It was a bar that was forced to apologize over the weekend for hanging up a Blue Lives Matter flag outside its establishment after facing a backlash of anger. It says Nellie's sports bar, displayed a pro-police flag at their restaurant because a group of gay police officers held a meeting there. And so they were honoring them. But Black Lives Matter came in and was angry and said it was just the wrong message to send and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And so the bar apologized and they removed the flag. It says, we now understand flying this flag at this point in time in particular was at best, tone deaf and a worst offensive. And so they had to they took it down and they caved and had no backbone. So all Black Lives Matter and nobody in blue is any good. According to Black Lives Matter, not according to me.
No.
I thought that was it's really sad what we've become. Nobody stands up for anything. We thought it was okay, but we'll take it down because it hurts your feelings. Well, get over it.
Well, I guess there was that big deal was it Sacramento, California, where the policemen were were chasing someone across the backyards. I believe he was at a place he wasn't supposed to be anyway, but the police, and they ended up shooting him like 8, 9 times.
Oh.
Well, they fired 20 times, but there was, I think he got hit, 8 or 9 times. And I don't know if that was last weekend or the weekend before.
It was recently. It was recently,
yeah. So, but, you're right. There's this thing going on with, hanging out a Blue Lives Matter. It just goes to show how people's agendas are coming.
What's the thing? They talked a lot last night on Fox on the different shows about what you brought yesterday morning about the statue, the presidential statue that they're taking down. Now they're not going to ruin it. They're going to put it in a museum so you can still see it. And I thought it was interesting. This one guy, liberal to the hilt, I don't think we should have any statues of anybody, and we shouldn't look up to anybody like that, and we've just had too many sins in our past, and this beautiful black woman who is part Native American as well, and she comes on, she says they're not offended by this, and she was defending the president and saying how much he's been trying to do for the Native Americans and trying to get they're a mess. I mean, you talk about somebody that's been abused and neglected and treated badly, then our Native Americans have been here in the United States, and just throw them out on a reservation. Oh, that land's too good. We're going to put them on a different reservation, and then they start taking the land back. It's just, she was defending the president for what he's trying to do, and she said we have to remember, and she admitted we've done a lot of bad things in the past. Most countries, most people have. And but you have to look at your past in order to know where you're going. And she says we need to concentrate on where we are right now. Anyway, go ahead.
And you know what? The churches today, there was one church close by to where I'm at. They have book clubs, not my book club, but they have book clubs where they're teaching that the first sin of America was racism. And I'm thinking, and this is what they're preaching. This is what they're talking about.
They're so clueless.
And I was shocked, and I tried to go just to see what they were talking about.
So you could start an argument.
So I could No, I observe. And I observe first, and then I throw in my opinions. But, it's just like, but this is where we are. And where we're at is we have Sherry in Kansas calling us.
Good morning, Sherry. How are you?
Okay, how are y'all?
Great.
Good.
Good. Beth Ann, yesterday I heard a recording of must have been some kind of press conference the governor of Kentucky was having, and this clip, a lady had asked him a question. He was talking about his foster care program, and this lady who asked the question, she related it to when are you gonna, do something about gun control, and he was very well spoken, and it was a very good clip. Have you happened to hear that?
No, I didn't. You said it was the governor of Kentucky?
Yeah, I think his name is Benton, but I'm not sure. But I think they probably have it up on the RBN website.
Okay.
But it was very good. And the other thing is, I used to work with a guy from Iowa, and he grew up on a farm. I think he said it was a dairy farm. But they had to bury their pipes 6 feet deep.
Yep, but it'll freeze if they don't.
Well, I wonder now, how deep did you guys have your pipes there when you were there in Missouri? Because ours is only about. I had to dig one up to cap it because it was leaking and it was the end of a line. And
I'm not sure how far
like
down,
30
but
inches deep. And
we got to go.
Yeah,
we got to go. I think we have to go a little deeper than that.
Really?
But 6 feet is usually what they talk about. I don't know. My husband's not in here. I'd have to ask him how. But usually you got to go several feet down, or it'll freeze. We haven't had that hard
of freeze. You have to have a pretty big trencher to do that.
Well, yeah, you do. But you also have to. You also have to get down below that freeze line, and I'm not sure where they call that freeze line. He would know because he's, in construction, so he would know. But it's a few feet. I don't know if it's 6 or not, but it's a few feet. But
anyway,
also the freezing weather has to stay there for a certain amount of time before it really gets through that much. Yeah, I didn't realize we got that much colder here than you did in Kansas. So I would say
I'm at about 37 latitude. What are you at? Because I look at that in the almanac.
I'm not sure. I'm not positive. I have to confess that I'm not sure. But I'll have to ask. Got my curiosity up now. I'll have to ask him when he comes in here later today. What's our freeze line?
Good show,
all right,
lady.
Thank you. Thank you, Sherry. She mentioned gun control, and I had this somebody sent this to me yesterday, where California is imposing a new pay per hole target tax. Have you ever gone out and shot? You have, haven't you?
Sure.
Go out and shoot,
sure. Yes, I do.
If you want to practice your marksmanship in California from now on, get ready to open your wallet and pay the tax man. When the passage of AB 211, recently signed into law by Governor Jerry Brown, California shooters who use paper targets at indoor ranges will have to pay a fee for every hole they put in paper, literally.
Good grief.
This new law, codified in the California Penal Code, states that commercial gun ranges must collect a charge of 38 cents per shot, as established by holes made in approved paper targets. This fee, the target tax, can be raised in the future at the discretion of the California Department of Justice. They're going to get you one way or another. One way or another.
Good grief.
38 cents for each hole.
I mean, how does that prevent any? If you're going to if you're going to have a weapon, the thing that you do want to do is a target shoot. Hello. I mean, it's in an environment that is safe. I mean,
it's all about money, though. It's all about money. Even when we go back and we talk about this immigration issue and these immigrants that are going to caravan across the borders here, President Donald Trump, he's on a little tirade about what Congress has not done. He's yelling at the Democrats, but the Republicans are equally guilty. But the Democrats are the ones pretending they care about everybody. So they did nothing about DACA. Even when he gave them a better deal, they still did nothing about DACA. And now the Koch brothers are coming out, and they're really asking him, please compromise on the DACA deal. And why do you think they want compromise? Money, 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 money. It's all about money. Money in the pockets.
It's very, very true, and it just goes to show how desperate these states are. I mean, we talk all the time about how underfunded they are for their pensions, how broke they are, how they're scraping and scrapping every way they can to find money in order to, do their budgets and everything. So, and it's just not your, the cities that we talk about the most. You hear, Maine once talked about, but it goes through a lot of the communities across this country and states. So, it is a problem. It is debt. And so where are they going to turn to? They're going to turn to the people. They're going to try to get 38 cents per shot. Good grief.
So I guess if you miss, you don't have to pay.
Yeah.
If you miss the target, you're no good. You don't have to pay.
Yeah. And I heard comments, I wasn't sure how true this was and so forth, about, the sessions of Congress. They have, I don't know if they either work 75 days or they have 75 more days to work the rest of the year, and they're complaining about, and they're trying to pass laws so they make sure that they work a 40-hour work week. And I'm thinking to myself, they're calling them servants of the people. And I'm thinking, when was the last time a servant got paid more than most of the people that they served for? And I'm thinking, it's just so crazy and out of whack anymore. And these congressmen, these politicians, they're shameless.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And they cry about, we had to work through midnight to sign the budget bill and every other bill that, what do you do during
the river?
I heard 50% of their time is spent on the phone asking for money. They're not up there helping and serving the American people. They're picking up the phone calling for campaign funds.
D.C. occupiers occupying offices and cutting deals.
It's good grief. And they're complaining because, we got to work.
I had to work through the weekend.
Even McCabe, everybody says, he lost his pensions and everything. He didn't lose his retirement fund, from what I understand. They continue to pay him a wage, and that's what he lost. But he still gets his retirement account.
Oh, now I didn't know that. Yeah, that's.
He still gets something. He does, but they make it sound like he gets absolutely nothing at all. And
American people need to be so outraged at what's going on. I don't know why they're not.
But they're not.
And we need to just fire the bums. Every single one of them need to be gone. Even the ones we think are good guys.
Good grief. They just get replaced by the same old, same old.
Well, I'm going to vote for you.
Would you?
Yeah, I would.
Well, I got one vote then.
You do. I'm going to vote
one
for
and
you.
only. But no, I mean it's just. Then they're up there whining and crying. That's what.
Yeah, you just want to smack them.
We had teachers.
Go ahead.
We had teachers in a couple of states. I think Kentucky was one. I think it wasn't at Kentucky and Oklahoma. You had striking teachers again, going into their couple days of. They saw what West Virginia was able to come up 5% raise, and I think some additional health care benefits. So now 2 more states are following suit. Oh, West Virginia can do 5% increase in wages. We can do the same. So we'll see how long they strike until walk off the job and. Until they get additional bonuses and so forth.
They have to strike during the 9 months that they work because they're too busy vacationing on the others.
Yeah,
they can't strike then.
Maybe you and I should strike, huh?
Yeah.
Anyway, so
although I think my boss will get pretty upset with me.
So just my Ruby too. She's my boss. I work to feed her. So yeah, I mean it's just anyway.
Well, I have, we were talking about the immigration issue, and this came across this morning too, where the Justice Department is imposing quotas on immigration judges. They want them to get these things done and get it finished because they're just backlogging in the courts because they're not getting anything done. And so they're going to put quotas out there. It says using metrics to evaluate performance is neither novel nor unique. So the purpose of implementing these metrics is to encourage efficient and effective case management while preserving immigration judge discretion and due process. There is no due process anymore. I mean, on one hand, it takes so long to become a citizen, and they've made the red tape so horrible, and I don't think it should be a snap, I don't think it should be simple, but they've made it so difficult. Even to bring someone in here legally, what they have to, what those who are hiring them have to go through, the companies, and what they have to provide for the immigrants when they come in here legally is just, it's unreasonable. Now, I think they need to take care of them when they get here, but some of it is just unreasonable, and I can't remember all the details of that, but there's a pecan farmer in this area that nobody here does that. He has to bring in immigrants, and what he has to provide for them is better than what most kids have at home. We're going into a break. Your calls are welcome at 717-300-1218. You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann, and we're going to be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity, invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188. The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on Internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the Internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately, and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening. Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
And I say that with fondness. Hey, here's something interesting. Coal power company is filing for bankruptcy, and they're asking for a bailout. Ohio Power Company First Energy, they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy over the weekend, just a couple days after they sent a letter to the Energy Department requesting emergency relief. They're seeking a bailout through a rarely used section of federal law normally reserved for natural disasters or times of war. And First Energy Solutions and First Energy Nuclear Operating Company have been teetering on the brink of bankruptcy for months. They said they plan to use about $550 million in cash to continue operating and to pay their 3,000 employees. The divisions own and operate 2 coal-fired powered plants, 1 dual natural gas coal plant, 1 petroleum coke plant, and 3 nuclear power plants. And so the Chapter 11 filing does not include the parent company, the Akron-based First Energy. But so there's a lot of pressure still on these in the coal industry, and it's coming from the cheap natural gas, and that's going to be a major competitor along the way. And that was always an issue when you heard about coal is coming back. It still continues to be challenged by the cheap and the plentiful natural gas. So I don't know how cheap natural gas is going to remain, but you would expect to see those prices rise to some degree. But I'm not sure if it would be enough to offset the coal industry problem. But the U.S. coal power generation to drop by another 12% this summer. The BTU expects U.S. coal power generation to drop by another 12% this summer compared with last summer. So just another industry that is continuing to struggle. But they're looking for a bailout. So I know how we all felt during the Great Recession of 2008 about bailouts. So I'm not quite sure, how we view this.
Kind of have mixed emotions, because I know a good part of their problems was created by government, but at the same time, I don't know, it's we can't just bail out everybody. We don't have the money. I sure hate to see I don't know.
So, I find that interesting. There was I don't think I kept the article about the yesterday the stock markets were down over 700 points. It has come back. It's up about 100 points this morning. Gold had a great day yesterday, up over $15. A little bit of reversal this morning. I think it's down 8. But still not a bad day for gold considering the big run up yesterday. And a lot of these the days that we have the big drops, and the next day all of a sudden the stock markets are back up, 300, 400, 500 points. It's just really short covering. That's really what it is. And the first day of trade in this second quarter takes us back to days of the Great Depression. The second quarter started the same way in 1929, and shortly thereafter, come September, October, November, we had the big hits in the stock market. So another sign that's leading us to show us that they might be able to hold this together through the summer. You always have, people vacation like trading and everything else, so it's pretty easy to control the markets, unless you have some sort of a big collapse in one industry or another, like we saw in 2008. But I think this fall is really going to be a significant and I know people say, well, we've heard that story before. And I've also heard that we can't believe that they've been able to control this market as much as they have for as long as they have. And they do it just by creating debt. They create new programs. They loosen regulation. You have these bankers that are going back in. They're going to be doing the same thing that they've always done. The handcuffs have been removed. They're going to create these same programs deeper and deeper into debt. It creates the illusion that things are great. I talked about last week on the program that a new program was being created to make buying U.S. debt easier for foreign entities in countries. They're working on it now. So it goes to show you that they will, stop at nothing to get every penny and to keep this illusion going for as long as they can. And guess who gets to pay for it? And guess who really is the scapegoats of their little programs? And that's the American citizens and citizens around the world that are not included. They get taken and stripped just like our government does to the citizens of this country unless they protect themselves against them. You need to become your own little central banker. Get rid of those paper fiat dollars and turn it into real money, which is gold and silver. Those who have pension accounts, retirement accounts, your IRAs, your paper IRAs, not your gold and silver IRAs, and we do offer those for those who have substantial means in retirement accounts and you don't want to pull it out all at once. You can convert that paper IRA into physical metal, and that's better than holding on to that paper and taking the chance, because I think this time once it begins to drop, it's going to happen so quick. You thought the Great Recession that it fell quick? You haven't seen anything yet. And I've always said for a long time after the Great Recession and seeing what they've done to keep this program going, we're going to wake up one day to a whole brand new world. You're not going to have time. You'll wake up and you've already lost 40% of your money. And then by the time, I
was just going to say it's crazy, and it is going to happen. We don't know when, but we know we can't keep going. There will be that straw that breaks the camel's back.
And it's getting closer and closer, and that's why it isn't Trump, it isn't President Trump that is creating these issues across this country. It really isn't, you can say that they're fanning they've created it, they've created the problems, and they're fanning, the flames for a bigger flame, but look at the anger, look how easy people are angered.
Oh my goodness!
I mean, there is something going on across this country within the people. There's a lot of love, but there's a lot of anger, and we're seeing this.
Seeing a lot of anger.
Seeing a lot, and they're being used, and their anger is being, as I said, fanned. But it's all part of the discord that we're feeling, and I think the pressure of having a life, having a great job, of providing for your family. That's a big part of it.
I had an article here, and I can't find it, and I know it's right in front of me, but it was, I've lost his name. But he was talking about, he wants Congress, there it is, Mulvaney. We're about out of time. There's the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And this particular department has, or organization, or whatever you want to call it, it has too much power. It has no accountability, and he's in charge of it right now. It was Senator Elizabeth Warren's baby, and he's calling for Congress to kind of pull in the reins on it, and because it's dangerous what it can and cannot do, what it can do, obviously. And then we go back, and the reason we see people angry are these stories. And in this particular story here, we have the elected officials telling us that we shouldn't have guns and we shouldn't be defending ourselves, and we need to pay more tax. You need to pay a tax every time you shoot your rifle and shoot your gun and hit the target. 38 cents. That's in the state of California, of course. They're broke, so they got to get money any way they can. But nearly 50 Democrats waived the background check for that IT aide that we know stole some information and did a lot of things. And they waived his. They didn't want him to have a background check. Don't you find that a bit suspicious? They don't care about your national security or your individual security. They don't care about your homes, how in debt you are. They don't care about that, where you get your next meal, as long as they're getting their money and their votes and their pensions and their insider trading and I still blame Congress for pretty much everything.
Absolutely.
I hear the music and we're out of time. Oh my goodness, already out of time. Melody, you have a wonderful day.
You too.
Have a wonderful day. We are in spring, even if the sun is shining.
We got spring in our hearts.
Do the spring in my step, and we heard you tap dance. And we will be back.
Visit crosstheborder.org, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a re-established Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
The book of Revelation says, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today, so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy Reality News app. Get it now.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188.